When do you do the morning meeting?
This is a question that we get from everybody.
What do we do if we have to skip a meeting?
You don't ever.
One of the biggest mistakes I made early on was...
How do you get better at public speaking? How do you get comfortable with public speaking?
There's only one way.
There's only one way.
How do we make the meetings fun? And that was funny. Hello, everybody. This is Brad Cairns and Lynn Thompson coming at you with another episode of On the Shop Floor. And today, boy, are we excited to tell you about our topic. What are we going to talk about today, Lynn?
We are going to talk about morning meetings, why they're so important, and how to make them not suck.
So this is your ultimate guide to getting your morning meetings to not suck. Is that what you're telling me? Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, let's jump right into this. And why don't you tell us what is the main purpose of the morning meeting?
The main purpose of the morning meeting is not what most people think. This is to build the foundation. This is to build the foundation of your lean culture and to sustain it.
Right. I mean, I'm like constantly amazed by the gravitational pull people have. As soon as you say the word meeting, they want to jump right into talking about work. And I think when it comes to a lean morning meeting, we need a mega paradigm shift in that this is the place that we teach and train and grow people. This is not the place to talk about work, not exclusively.
And also, I think, don't worry about getting it perfect the first time. These things are going to evolve. You're going to run the experiment. You're going to have your morning meeting. You're going to think of some improvements. It's not going to be perfect right off the get-go. So stop avoiding it until you get it perfect, because that's just an excuse for you not to start your morning meetings.
Right. I mean, people don't actually understand. If you even manage to get your morning meeting half right, I mean, you're 90% of the way there if you get it half right. What is the first building block of lean? We're getting into the morning meeting, but there's something that's a little bit before that I think is critical to touch on. Maybe not just touch on, maybe delve into, which is flat out your culture.
Yeah. So what most people I think don't understand is that you already have a culture. Your culture it's whatever your people are doing when no one's watching. And a lean culture might be over here and you're over here, and we're really just looking to close that gap slowly. This is something that you're building over time.
Right. I mean, the number one mistake that I see, especially early on in people's lean journeys, is they're so hyper-focused on the tools and the techniques that they forget that it's actually your culture that makes you a lean company.
Most of your struggles that we find when we're engaging with companies is that their struggle is that they have an underdeveloped culture, or they're so hyper-focused on some of the lean principles, they're thinking that culture thing is something you do later. And actually, it's something where you need to spend the time up front.
Right. I mean, we've all heard that saying, my lean implementation is like pushing a train. And I think that train gets bigger and longer and heavier without the right culture. And controversially, it gets lighter and easier. And possibly even you're allowed to fire up the diesel engine when your culture's right. Riddle me this, Batman. If building a culture is so critical, why is it that I probably 100% of our listeners, we all have children that are going to school, or we plan on our children going to school, and we'll spend anywhere from like $10,000 to $200,000 to send our kids to school. But the minute it comes to building a culture in our factory, and it's like I have to send one of my workers somewhere else for the day on a little study mission to go learn something, it's like, pump the brakes. I mean, a day's work and like a $400 plane ticket. And that's what stops us from teaching our people.
And you'd think we would have learned when it comes to standards and quality and training, if we do the right thing up front, we're actually saving money and time. And if we don't do the right thing, we're spending far more money and time. It's just less obvious.
Right? The soft cost of education versus the hard cost of someone maybe missing from the production line for the day. You know what, just for everybody listening, what we've done is we've queried our lean community and we've asked them all kinds of questions about the morning meeting, and we've asked them to ask us questions about morning meetings so we could delve into it here and have a meaningful podcast. So one of the things that came through was, when do you do the morning meeting? And
sorry.
Go ahead.
This is a question that we get from everybody. Yeah. And this is something that everybody, this is another great excuse of why we can push our meeting off, because we're not ready yet, because we haven't decided on the perfect time to do the morning meeting. There is no perfect time. Ideally, we'd have everybody in the hidden factory and the factory at the same meeting first thing in the morning. That would be wonderful. Is that feasible? Not often. Often the shop starts a lot earlier than the hidden factory. So if we can't do them at the same time, maybe we split them up. But my factory has staggered start times. Now what do? You do your best. You know, maybe you do your meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning when everybody's in. It's not ideal, but it's the next best thing. You'll figure it out.
All right. So then what? I'm I'm the plant manager or the owner, and something major's coming up, and we just can't get to the meeting today. So what do we do if we have to skip a meeting?
You don't ever skip a meeting.
So if you're asking that question,
what message does that send? If we say, hey, we can't have a meeting today, what is that? What are we saying about lean?
Right. We're saying we only do lean when we have time.
We're saying it's optional.
Yeah.
And when it's convenient, we're going to do the meeting, but if it's not convenient, we're not going to do the right thing. So now we don't have a standard, and we're not adhering to a standard. So bad idea. Don't do them if you can't. If you can't commit to a consistent meeting, then you're not ready, I would say.
Right. And I haven't. We've been to and helped companies develop lean cultures, and there isn't one that doesn't do a daily meeting, and not one successful one. Like, I think of it, it's analogous to anything, trying to do anything, like go to the gym. Well, go to the gym once a week. What's going to happen? Only diet once a week. Only try and play the guitar once a week. You're getting nowhere. So it does have to be a daily kata, I think.
It does. And what's it doing on a daily basis? If you're running that meeting on a daily basis, what's happening?
Right. There's a lot of probably not talked about, but psychological things that are unfolding. There's no doubt getting your team in a circle and talking once a day is going to start to create a slightly more cohesive team. Absolutely.
And also there's a reset that happens between home and getting to work and work. There's a mindset that you come to work in. I might have got a speeding ticket on the way to work. Probably not me, but
someone else with a yellow motorcycle.
For work. I might have been even later for work because I was trying to argue my way out of that ticket. Or you're in a rush to get the kids to school. The kids weren't ready in time. You have all of these things going on, and then you get to work. You're in that mindset. Mm-hmm. But if we have that meeting, the first thing it does is it's resetting everybody from that at home to, okay, we're at work, and now we're doing that reset.
Right. And I like, that's huge. That is so huge, because you could be having a bad day and that'll just carry on if you don't do something. The other thing I think it does a really good job of is everybody wants to know what's in it for me. And your people also want to know what's in it for me. And if you don't find a way to demonstrate that this thing is just not all about work, like people matter. And now we're going to teach and train and educate and help you grow as a person on our dime, that speaks volume for showing people like, hey, this is a people thing. This isn't just, work or trying to make more money thing.
Yeah, it's an investment in people. And also it's a steady drip of lean every single day. So we're sending the message of it's important to us. We're willing to train you on this every day, and it's not going away. It's not the flavor of the month. We're still doing it. We're still committed. And that's creating that organic learning and growth just because you're doing it every day. And you're also sending the message that lean is not a priority. It is the priority.
Right. Okay. We've laid the groundwork of how important it is, what it does, what the purpose is. Now, everybody's probably wondering, what do I include in the morning meeting? So what kind of things do you include in the morning meeting? And this was super fun because I put this out to our lean community and I just started capturing all of the notes so we can, read through some of those, like you have them in front of you there. And, we'll tell you what we think belongs in a morning meeting.
Okay. So just to lay the basics out there, we want to make sure that this is a positive meeting. This is not the place to bring up our concerns or old complaints. So we have to have someone facilitating the meeting to make sure that we keep it positive, and we have to have a couple of people in the audience that are willing to help the person presenting, because that can be difficult to manage all of that. So we want some people to get ready to jump in and help if it starts to get a little out of control or someone says some negative things. We just want to keep it positive. We don't want to talk about performance and quality and all that stuff there. We have our metrics for that, and that's separate. This is strictly about positive, lean, learning together as a group.
Right. And then one of the things I've always said about a meeting is there should be some teaching and there should be some learning, no matter what. That's the basis. If the person presenting can teach the people in the audience something, they learn something, those are the fundamentals. What about our kind of like, I shouldn't say controversial. It's not really controversial. It's more like a participation thing with the stretching. Everybody in North America thinks we're mentally insane when we show up at their factory and we're making them do all these Japanese stretches. And the funny part is once you get the group engaged in that, they can't not smile. So, what is about that stretching do you think is so fun?
Well, I think it goes back to when we were kids and we're doing something together, where it might feel a little awkward at the beginning, but I mean, it's also about loosening up. That's going to help us prevent injuries at work. We're actively engaged. You can't not stretch and be engaged. I mean, if you're stretching on some level, you're engaged. So that's another part of it. Any of the big gurus that are doing any huge events, when they're teaching you something, they have you physically active, because it's been proven that if you're physically active, you will learn at a better, deeper level.
Go to an Anthony Robbins event. I did that, and he has you doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
You're not sitting still.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stretching. It's funny because when we have new people starting at the factory, they're always like, they're kind of like looking around, like, is everyone going to do this or what? And then inevitably 3 weeks later, they're like, man, on the weekend, I miss those stretches on the weekend. They don't do them at home, but they look forward to doing it when they get to work. So it's totally worth it. It's a little bit tough to get off the ground, but man, it's so worth it.
And once you do, you're right. They all end up liking it and are waiting for it.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Because it does make you feel better.
Yeah. Do you know what else makes you feel better?
What?
What?
It was a surprise.
Oh my God. And I was told that we're not allowed to edit the fun stuff out anymore. So now I guess that's going to stay.
Oh boy, that's going to stay in there.
Some of the feedback.
Gratitude. I bet that's what,
Now you're popping on my, I wanted to say that. Gratitude. Gratitude is something that is just, you cannot be in a bad mood when someone's saying something nice about you. when they're expressing gratitude for something that you've done, or you can be expressing gratitude for the universe and the world or whatever, there's just some magical power about being grateful that must be in every meeting.
And all of the companies that are highly successful at Lean, they all do it. Some of them, they write it on a little piece of paper, and I think at FastCap they do that. They write it on a piece of paper. They put it into a plexiglass box. You don't have to say it out loud if you don't want to. You guys figure it out, but it seems to be necessary. It really helps. It's part of that reset.
Right. And, the other thing that I love when it's incorporated in a morning meeting is the ability to celebrate something. Like, there's no way you can be on planet Earth for a whole day and not find one thing to be grateful for or one thing to celebrate. And the power of figuring out a way to get your people clapping, oh my God, it is like so good when someone makes it like a good improvement or any improvement, or even at the end of the meeting, you say, hey guys, that was a great meeting. Thank you. And it just takes one. So if that person has to be you, I want whoever's hearing this to be the one to start clapping at the end of your meeting for when the person does a good job. And man, you feel like a peacock standing on stage when you have your team clapping for you. It really motivates you to do a good job on the next meeting. I love that. It kind of like died off at my factory for a bit. And I was at one of the meetings, like, what, did we stop clapping? Because that's coming back. I just love it.
Well, that's part of the engagement, the energy, the excitement. It's like the stretching. If you just keep that engagement going with some physical activity, it goes a long way.
Totally. All right. So those are some of the fundamentals that you want to make sure are in your morning meeting. Now, as important as that is, what are some of the fundamentals that we want to get out of our morning meeting? Lynn?
Negativity.
Yeah.
So that comes in many different forms, but I do want to say something very important about body language. And I think it was cost tailored, where we learned that 85% of communication is body language alone. You don't even have to say anything. And I think a lot of us got that reinforced during the pandemic when people were wearing masks, and it was a little harder to see how people were feeling or taking something. So body language is that you're telling someone a story.
Right.
So watch your body language. If you don't disagree with something someone said, or you think it's stupid, or we tried that before and it didn't work, it's written all over your face.
Hold it in. Hold it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Because you got to put yourself in the position of that poor person at the front of the room who's in all likelihood just a little bit nervous. And, the last thing they need to look up and see someone on their team rolling their eyes. Oh God, it would just it would totally deflate you. So keeping that negativity so far out, and I'm the guinea pig for all this stuff, because at least 10 times I've gone to a morning meeting and something comes up, and that was funny. Lynn just took a big sip of her water right in front of my camera. So, we'll get good at this podcast thing. I'm at the morning meeting and, something happens, like a quality issue or someone screwed up or whatever. And I'm like, we got to address this. And I start spewing and it's not good. The whole meeting just tanks. It is bad, because at the end of our meeting, and we have a little cheer that we pick, and then we all put our hands in the middle like a football team. We go like, hoorah, one team or whatever. And it goes from like, hoorah, one team, everyone's pumped, to you throw out one negative, stupid thing, and everyone's like, yeah, hoorah, whatever. Let me go to work, idiot. And it's usually me that does that. Now, the fun part, because when we were soliciting everybody for morning meeting questions and tips and tricks, we asked them, what are some of either the fun or the cool or the educational things that you do in your morning meeting. And we got some pretty cool feedback from the lean community and on stuff that they do. So this is going to be good for everybody. Get out your pen and paper and maybe an opportunity to take some notes and pepper in some cool stuff. So I'll start off. The first one is when I was at Cost Tailored, and this is, oh my God, this is a while ago, but hopefully Jeff hears this one day because I've been nicknamed Jeff's Superfan. Because I harass him so much. But they have these little QR codes all over the place. They're stuck on these boards, and they do little 5-minute training sessions. And they just scan the QR code of whatever it is for the day. The day we were there, it was like how to use a drill, what the battery, like just the simple basic stuff. But man, how cool is that every day, you know? And we may look at stuff like that and go, oh my God, if you don't know how to use a drill. But think of the new guy or the new girl. Like maybe they don't. And that like just that little 5 minutes, the person who knows gets to show off and the person who doesn't know gets the education. It's so awesome. This probably should be, we should have a pitfall section, but one of the biggest mistakes I made early on was letting people just like move to the back of the room. It's like, if the building was bigger, they would like literally be as far away as humanly possible to the person presenting. And even to the point where they'll be like in behind skids or under racks. It was just like, man, you know, if you're going to run this meeting, get everybody in, get them in close, get them in proximity of each other so that, you know, the person presenting doesn't have to scream and the person hiding in the back can actually hear what's going on. So get those people in close.
I think it's also really critical for the person that's hosting the meeting to make sure that they have some people as backup, ready to jump in if there's any kind of difficulty there, or if someone says something negative. You know, I kind of go through some role playing when I'm helping people launch their meetings and say, you know, if someone brings something negative up from the past, so-and-so can jump in and say, oh, great point. You know what? I'm going to get with you after the meeting one-on-one and we'll address it. And we can give the team some feedback tomorrow.
Oh, I like this. So hang on, for clarity, it's not the person leading the meeting that's shutting that down. It's someone else. Is that what you're saying?
It's too much to expect the person leading the meeting to deal with any bumps in the road. Any surprises, any technical issues, you need to have two people ready to jump in and start fiddling with those chords, whatever it is. If it's some negativity, someone else to jump in, because those people are actually standing there in fight or flight mode and they're scared, and then it's getting worse,
right?
And then it's just going downhill, and then everybody else is seeing and feeling that and thinking, I'm never going to do a morning meeting because that looks painful,
right? And so if the leadership is there, ready to jump in. Hey, let's table that for another conversation or get with us later. That also, this is a good, that also elicits confidence for everybody else to know like, hey, you know, even if I'm struggling up there, you know, my boss has got my back or my supervisor, team leader, whatever.
Well,
wow, that's great.
And we have a plan.
Right.
We have a plan. We have a plan to support you. And, you know, we want you to ask lots of questions. This is a learning experience. It's training and learning. Sometimes you ask a question and crickets, you know, you don't hear anything. There's no response. You can wait a while. You go through that uncomfortable silence. But those other people in the audience that you've handpicked and have prepared for this are going to jump in and go, oh, I got an idea. Or even better yet, they're going to say, hey, Joe, I saw this the other day. You know, they'll start getting people engaged. You need someone to save you.
Right.
Because we don't want it to be painful, and we want everyone to feel comfortable enough to go up there and host a meeting. It's very important.
Right. Yeah. And so one of the other things that I would say is critical to, like you said, person's up there in fight or flight, and you know, have a script. Don't be afraid to not have a script. You know, we use Google Slides. Use PowerPoint. Have a paper that you follow along with. Just have something so that it's not like someone winging it every day up on stage. That would be horrifically scary.
We're also trying to create that skill set in people. We're trying to create that comfort level with public speaking. So a lot of people, when I tell them, hey, eventually we're going to have everyone in the factory, everyone in the hidden factory in the shop hosting the meeting, they get very scared. They say, oh, I'm never going to do that. But then I point out that it's a life skill to have, and it's going to be very important later on in life. So why not practice at work?
Right. So, I mean, the end goal for morning meetings is that everybody can do it. Everybody in your plant is going to take turns, and they're going to go up there. And if you're a new person coming into a culture that already exists, that's just how it is. And so it's not so bad. But if you're just launching your lean initiative and then you throw out this idea that everybody's going to be presenting, get ready for some pushback. But I don't know too many people that have not overcome that. It's just slow and steady. Start with you and then work your way out. Find someone who's comfortable doing it, and then maybe have someone who's not so comfortable just come do a 1-minute segment on something that they're an expert at, and slowly build it in. But we actually make no bones about it. Like during the hiring process, we're like, yeah, you're going to lead a meeting. You know what you're getting into, and they freak out in the beginning. And then we say, listen, don't worry. You don't have to lead it tomorrow. There's 20 of us. You get to watch 20 of them happen before it's you. And then we coach you and help you along the way. So, we try not to give people a total heart attack over that, but it is not an option.
Since this is a learning and training meeting, what happens when something does go wrong? When something's presented incorrectly? Let's say the person training actually says something that's not correct. Then how do we handle that?
Yeah, and you know what? That's bound to happen. It's happened at my factory, something like around 1,000,001 times. And, I think the first go-to would be leadership identifies that and says, hey, something wrong just kind of happened. And then you can jump in with, hey, what a good opportunity to do a deeper dive into this whatever XYZ that went wrong. Maybe we should talk about it as a group for a minute, and you can kind of just like gently steer that ship back on course. You don't want to come flying out of the gate and be like, no, that was wrong. I can't believe you said that. I mean, that would be bad. The other thing to do would be to wait till the meeting's over and then just grab that person and just, hey, come here, pull up that slide and go, actually, I didn't want to say anything because remember, punish in private, praise in public, and just go over with them. Say, hey, that wasn't, that really, it was close, but that wasn't the definition of overproduction. But here's the real definition. So, next time you can get it right. You got to keep the rope tight. Managers got to manage. You got to not be afraid to stop and say something's wrong, fix it through education and training, and then carry on.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point you just made. Managers need to manage. But we also have to teach them to manage. So we do want to, when we get these meetings going, we want to make sure we do set people up for success and walk through those scenarios and say, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to handle that? Just, set people up for liftoff.
Yeah.
Don't just throw them in cold.
Yeah. I mean, I think the overriding principle of like if something's not going the way you want it, and it doesn't matter if it's someone having not good information or presenting something a little backwards or whatever, just be kind, just treat them like a person and get them pointed in the right direction. Inevitably, you're going to run into someone just flat out not participating. So what do we do with the people who are, they just refuse to participate?
I wouldn't call them out in the meeting. Like you said, punish in private, praise in public. I would ask them what they don't like about the meeting. Why don't they find it engaging? Ultimately, they might be the people that are sitting back saying, this whole lean thing is not for me and I'm not interested. And that's okay. That's going to happen. You can't force someone to adopt lean. I tend to just let them go for a while and see what happens. It's their choice, right? Are they going to come forward as the group's moving forward? Are they going to keep stepping away? And then eventually, they might self-select and say, this isn't the right place for me anymore, or they start participating, right? It's their choice. But as long as they're not hurting anything, I just kind of leave it, because everybody else most people are coming along. You'll hit a tipping point at some point, and it'll just get easier.
Right. We've seen that many times where someone is just flat out not participating. And, something else that you might want to consider doing is everybody enjoys being an expert. So if it's, like your custom guy who's been there for 55 years, he's not interested in anything, but you could reel him in with something where he's an expert to talk about it. That might be a real good way to break the ice with someone. Find an area of expertise that they want to talk about, and then slowly rope them in that way. I've seen that work. But yeah, as soon as I hear stuff like that, I'm like, I hope that one self-selects. That's not nice.
You never know. I've seen some miraculous turnarounds.
Okay, so now let's jump into, how do we make the meetings fun? Like, how can we, we've been to some meetings where we just look at each other and we're just like, wow, that was awesome.
I really enjoyed the Kahoot. We learned that at Cost Tailored. Yeah. I thought that was a lot of fun. That was an interactive game. Everybody plays it on their phone. You ask a question, they have so much time to answer it. It's competitive. It's fun. It's a game. So, and you write the questions.
Yeah, we use that a lot, and not enough at the same time, because every time we do it, everyone is pumped. So that, we're not getting paid for any of this, but I got to give credit where credit's due. Kahoots has done a good job of making, question and answers fun. So yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up for Kahoots. I can tell you about one meeting that I went to, and this is at my friend Laverne's factory. He has a company called Woodland Horizon in Drayton, and we're there in the morning, and I love getting somewhere when I can be part of the morning meeting. And it was a pretty good meeting all around. And then he's like, okay, we're all going outside. And I'm like, oh, whatever, let's go. So we all go outside. We all get a balloon with 3 feet of ribbon on it. And then we have to tie it on our foot. And without leaving the concrete pad, we're running around trying to stomp out everyone's balloon. Oh my God. You've never seen 30 adults have so much fun at 7 a.m. It was crazy. Not one person not laughing and hooting and hollering. And as we were walking back in the building from doing that, all I could think of was like, that's why this place is different. You can't experience that level of joy with your teammates and then come into work and it's not amazing. It was just, wow.
Other things you're going to do, I think a standard thing you're going to do is watch improvement videos.
Yes.
You're going to watch someone else's improvement videos. You're going to watch your own improvement videos. That's going to inspire people. Even if you're watching an internal improvement video, someone on the other side of the shop's going to go, oh, cool. I had that challenge and that guy just solved that problem for me. Isn't that neat? I'm going to do that, or I'm going to go talk to him about that. So, and you're also patting yourself on the back and taking some credit, right? It's okay to take credit for your ideas. And because as you're showing them to other people, you are inspiring them.
For sure. They're
so close to coming up with an idea and saying it out loud, but they're still afraid. So the more you present your improvement videos, the more that will come up.
Right. The Japanese call that yokaten, where we share ideas across the organization. So I'd like to read a couple of these that we've got. This is coming from the outside in. We've asked people, hey, what are some of the fun things that you did? And so one of them says, we gave away fortune cookies that everyone read them out loud for a morning win to start the week. That's kind of fun. What else? My CFO walked through the life cycle of a sale and how much a defect costs, all of the steps involved in overprocessing, and everyone it impacted. The team was truly engaged and enlightened. And
that reminds me of I think we got this from Paul Akers, was the story, the 8-way story.
Yeah.
You're walking through the story and you're naming all the ways as you walk through the whole process. That's what that reminds me of, is a story.
And, although we say we don't want to talk about work a whole lot during the morning meeting, and this one sounds like he's talking about work, but this is education in my mind. He's educating the whole team on how the finances of the company work and what the impact of things are. So I'm still going to give that one 2 thumbs up for allowing it into the meeting. Here's another one. Everyone says what they're grateful for, but they're only allowed to use one word. Creates good engagement, and there are always funny ones in there.
And you probably don't feel the need to overcomplicate it and therefore get stuck.
Right.
Right? Like someone just might say, shoes.
Right.
And that would make everybody laugh because they're going to think I bought a new pair of heels on the weekend.
Right. Yeah. All right. Okay. Whatever number we're on. Okay. Lean quizzes are always good. Yes, I agree. We've done some of that in the past. And the other thing we've done in terms of quizzes is company questions. What do you call that? That's like, when was the company founded? Who founded it? What are some of the products that we have? What's the product numbers? And just like peppering in some fun company facts.
That also reminds me of FastCap morning meeting. When we were there, they took about 20 minutes, maybe 10 to 20 minutes to learn about a specific product. They all had to learn the details of that specific product.
Yeah, that would be cool for some companies to do. Give someone a compliment and pass it on. It's always a good one. And keep it going around the room until everyone has given one. See, I like stuff like that. Maybe I'm a big softie, but I think like just the impact of giving someone a compliment and then they have to pass it on, you just lit up your whole team. That's so good. The other thing that I know a few of us companies do is we take tried and true principles, and we just pick one and talk about it. So you could do anything from the 10 Commandments to Ono's 10 precepts, Deming's 14 principles. We pick one each day and we talk about that.
I like that you have the template. Mm-hmm. So you've made it so easy. Even on your template, you say next person hosting the meeting is, so it's clear whose responsibility it is. And then you have all the templates in there and you're just taking the slides out that you're not going to use. You don't have to add stuff in. You're just saying, okay, we're going to talk about overprocessing today. All of the other slides are taken out. You're just making it so easy for people to get ready for the meeting.
Yeah. This is something that this came up at a talk once that we were doing. And a gentleman came up to me and he said, Brad, what if I'm just not a people person? Without Lynn's coffee cup smashing on the table. This happened to me once. And we were at a talk and someone came up to me after and they're like, man, that sounds so good and I want to do that, but I'm just not a people person. What do I do? When this gentleman asked me about, not being a people person, I think we have to remember that we're in a people organization and it's that simple. And there's an ancient Chinese proverb that says a man without a smiling face should not open a shop. So it's going to happen. Not everybody is like outgoing, happy-go-lucky and great with people. But in that case, I would probably look to hire someone that can be kind of like the voice of the company.
Well, we've heard some tough love from some of our customers that are doing this really well, and some of the feedback is if you can't lead an exciting morning meeting, how do you expect to lead a company? So we're not talking every single person in the shop and the hidden factory should be able to, really whip people up and get them engaged. But the fact that they're trying, mm-hmm. that they're willing to put themselves out there, they're just going to get better. I think means a lot. But if you're in leadership, we want you to be able to. That's kind of a leadership quality that we're looking for, right?
Right. Yeah.
We want you to be able to motivate people and get them engaged.
The famous. we keep promoting our woodworkers into leadership positions. And, one of the comments here that I'm reading, I'm like, wow, this is tough love. It says, if you can't motivate your people to stand in a circle and stretch, which is seemingly simple, how can you motivate them to improve a process? It's like harsh, but, with an element of truth. I mean, because that's what leaders do. We inspire people. We're supposed to inspire people. So that's, some tough love, but yeah, I got faith. Whoever, takes a good, honest kick at the can at getting these meetings going, they're going to make it happen. I think we should be wrapping this up soon because everybody's been with us for 40 minutes now. But before we go, why does all this matter?
Having everybody get up and present
just the
whole morning meeting.
The morning meeting. What's the number one best thing about it?
Well, I think that it's a great opportunity for everyone to learn a new skill. Everyone's afraid of public speaking. They're terrified when we say, you're going to be doing this one day. They shut down. They come up with all kinds of reasons why they're never going to do it.
Well, but they don't need excuses. What's human number one fear?
Public speaking.
No, death.
Death.
Number two?
I don't know. I got the first one wrong, so I'm afraid to.
You just had it backwards. So number two, right behind death, is public speaking.
Oh, I thought public speaking was first.
Yeah. So you're asking someone just short of dying, what are you most afraid of? And we're going to actually just make you do that at work.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard. Okay. Sorry. I kind of interrupted you there.
So what I tell those people is, you're looking at this the wrong way. You're practicing at work. You're getting good at public speaking at work. Think of it that way. This is a social skill. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a time in your life where you're going to be called upon to speak at an event in your personal life. And if you don't do it, you will regret that for the rest of your life. How do you get better at public speaking? How do you get comfortable with public speaking?
There's only one way.
There's only one way. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Time and time again. It gets easier every single time you do it. And, when the time comes, you will be called upon at some point to speak in public, and you're going to not feel very good if you skip out on it. But if you do it, you're going to feel fantastic.
And do you know what feels even better than giving a great public speech? Someone walking up, I got goosebumps just now because it's happened. Someone walking up to you and saying, thank you. I could have never done that if I didn't meet you. And that is, to me, I think we end the show on that.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So if you've enjoyed what you heard about morning meetings, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to creating that lean culture that you dream of. This is what we do at Quantum Lean. We help companies just like you. So Lynn, why don't you tell us, how can people get a hold of us?
It's simple. They can just text morning meeting to the number 226-971-2144, and we will send them a link.
Sounds good to me. We'll see you then. Want to say bye?
Bye.